Hey guys, welcome back. Reese here, Pursuing the Arts, and I have the opportunity to visit Germany. So you guys, if you guys follow us on Patreon, you would have seen the post I made that I was personally invited to Arne Armored Symposium, Harnischfechten Symposium in Germany. So here I am with Arne who hosted the event, and we had a great time, and we're going to kind of discuss what happened during the weekend. So thank you, Arne, for inviting me out.
And thank you for coming.
Yeah, and so what made you want to host this event?
I do an event that is the Harnischfechten Symposium, which is the mounted fencing symposium, and I kind of just wanted to do a version for the armored fencing community. So of course you probably all know that there's this historical martial arts community, and they largely focus on sword-based styles that involve no armor. And there is a small subset that is focusing on the armored section, or a smaller subset. And I wanted to kind of bring those together, or in some degree back together, because it was a more prominent part of HEMA when that first developed, say 20 years ago. And I did a fair bit of it at the time, and I've continued doing it, and I've always loved the poleaxe, the armor, the half swording, and all that kind of stuff. So
right.
I wanted to just kind of have another gathering of like-minded people, and because of the equipment being such a big part of that, had the armor itself, I kind of also wanted to have the museum part of it, the typological part of it. So that's why I decided to also include lectures from museum curators to this particular event, to kind of have this both sides, the material culture, the design of the equipment, as well as the use of the equipment and the fighting styles. And then just an opportunity to just play with everybody and have some sparring. So not so much a competition, but more trying out different styles, finding each other's comfort zones, and just trying as many different things as possible.
Right, I think you did a very, very good job of that.
Oh, thank you.
So the kind of cover the event, we had some classes. We had classes from some French gentlemen, Thomas, and what's his name? I can't
He's known as the Little Rabbit on Facebook.
Yeah.
But they did a very good job at classes which involved mostly the ground wrestling in armor, and going to ground in armor with various weapons or lack thereof, which is of course very important in armored fighting, because of course armor works, and in order to kill somebody in armor, it becomes very important to take them to ground and to literally take them apart. That was one of the things that they focused on in particular.
Yeah, it was a great class. You had a really great arena set up for that. Before and previous deeds and workshops that Ben and I have taken part of, is that we had the ground, and of course if you roll on the ground, you get your stuff rusty, you get some mud between the lanes and all that, but you had a really nice soft area, and big enough area for everyone to take part, so it was really quite nice.
It's my riding arena here at my home here in Laugröden, in the middle of Germany, and which is it's a nightly manor that I kind of try to convert to more or less a riding establishment for myself and my students. And I have this outdoor surface which is meant to be all weather. Right. So it's basically this carpet snippets just to stop it from freezing in the winter, and it just so happens to be very good to fall on. And we noticed this when we did the Harnischfechten Symposium. A year and a half ago, we did wrestling from horseback and throws from horseback, and then you fall a bit harder still.
Right.
And there it was really quite effective, and that's why I kind of went, oh, this is great, because there's no sand to go in the armor, there's no moisture, there's no grime, there's no abrasion, and it was really quite nice.
Yeah, and then of course we had your class afterwards. We had the axe class, which is very cool. Ben and I have been studying, as you guys know, le jeu de la hache, which is a French treatise, and you've been studying more of the German sources.
I tried to kind of bring in mostly examples from the German sources, because there were a fair bit of Germans there, and there is some distinction. However, you can definitely say that le jeu de la hache is probably the easiest thing to start with poleaxe fighting. It is probably the most clearly written, and for instance, as everybody probably is aware, Talhofer is a bit of a blotch test. So, but it gives you a nice little bit of spice at the end when you've already got a basis in various other manuscripts. And so I tried to take those examples, but you probably noticed that it is very similar to what Schoedelhaas basis kind of already describes.
Right, exactly.
It's congruent, shall we say? Yes.
Yeah. So, and what was great is that we after that we just had a kind of a free bouting session. So we just kind of got out there and picked a partner, and then just kind of went at it. And we had probably like, how many armored fighters do we have?
We had 46 people attending, and I think there were at least 30 in armor. And then there was a bunch of people that were borrowing pieces or had put something together with protection from the regular HEMA, and that were trying to mix in and kind of notice the difference, which I thought was really constructive, actually more constructive than most people had expected, because it was so clear that they could assess what they could do different next to somebody in various different types of armor. And the different armors are quite different as well. So there was... I think about 40 people that joined into the poleaxe class at least.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was quite big.
Yeah, it was really cool seeing just the variety of different styles of harness. You know, mostly later 15th century we saw. Yeah. But you know, there's English style, there's German, there's some Italian. Yeah. And just kind of experimenting to see what works, you know, with those techniques. So
yeah, we had different German styles, and we had different German periods, which did make a difference in technical ability and range of motion. There was some people in 14th century gear, and even somebody I think was mostly sort of the cusp of the 13th century with their gear, and it was interesting to also compare that, because of course there is all these different equipment that people could be wearing. And it all works slightly differently, and sometimes you have this particular lock that works great on this one type of elbow, but then on the next type of elbow it's not quite the same, and then when somebody doesn't have an elbow, which also happens, then all of a sudden it's completely different. Right. And so it's quite fickle in a lot of ways, you know, it's more variable than you think. Yeah, but that was good. It was a good mix, I think. Yeah,
it was great. A really great time. I loved how, well, how many people were there. That was super cool. Of course, we had some lectures. Yes. So, very big surprise, which you guys will see in the future videos. We had a lecture from Dr. Tobias Capwell. So Capwell was personally invited by Arne to come out and do a lecture, and it was awesome.
He is good at lectures.
Yes, he's very good at lectures.
That's what he does. It's a very, very good and long-held friend of mine, and we've done a lot of jousting together and things like that, Toby and I. And so, of course, it was an opportunity for me to invite him to my home. But I, of course, know that he does very good lectures. They're not just very informative, they're very well researched, they have a lot of basis behind them, but they're also engaging. And that's why we took the first lecture. He headed off the sort of more academic side of things, I suppose, and I think he engaged the audience very well, and there was interesting discussion, and there was a lot of ideas being sparked, and there was a lot of talk afterwards on both lectures, but also on that one, and it kind of brought a lot of people together, and people got to know him who didn't know him before, and got to ask things, and of course he is sort of like a gateway into museum armor knowledge to a large extent, and that is very important, because sometimes it gets a little bit, I'll just get a bit of armor, just anything will do, and then you figure out that no, not anything will do, and there's a lot of pitfalls that has already been found. I mean, the man has commissioned 15 armors, I think, if I'm not mistaken, over the time. So he has tried a lot of things, and tried a lot of things that didn't work. So as a result, he knows what to recommend. Right.
Yeah, a really, really good lecture. And he actually, it was pretty, what's the word? It fit with what we were doing. Yeah. So studying Harnischfechten is and arms and armor go hand in hand. You see the treatises and stuff, by sticking to historically accurate armor, it'll work better for going against historically accurate techniques.
Yeah.
So hugely important to study the material culture. So, and we had a lecture also from
Andrei Bogdanov.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So he's a curator in St. Petersburg, and he is overseeing the Arms and Armor collection there. But again, just like Toby is a renowned jouster as well as a museum curator, Andre is a very skilled armored foot combatant. He also rides. I mean, but that's his main focus so far, as I'm aware. And I saw him in Moscow, and he won the historical foot combat competition at that event. That I judged myself. I must say, with flying colors, he won it. And so again, it was an opportunity to get a participant and a representative for a country of their style of reconstructing foot combat and armor, but also the academic side of arms and armor collecting and disseminating, in this case, some material that most of us had not seen in the West yet.
So, but yeah, that's not all that I did too. I've been here for a week, and I got to check out. We went to go see a castle.
Yeah.
And then we also went to go see the museum.
Vesta Coburg, yeah.
Vesta Coburg, yeah. And I got to see some arms and armor, which I've seen a little bit in the U.S., but of course not like in Germany. So.
Yeah, it's a very important collection, and the curator, who's a good friend of mine, Dr. Alfred Geibig, who was kind enough to just spend most of his day showing us around and answering questions and allowing us to step over barriers and take photographs on the insides of things, and he knows a lot of things. And I'm like, how much does that weigh? I think it's roughly that. And he just knows it by heart and stuff like that. And of course, he explained us a lot about the gun collection they have there and the ammunition collection they had there. So, but also we looked at various different parts of the castle's architecture and defensive architecture in particular. So I found that very interesting because we had been looking at the castle here up the hill in La Reuden. Because of course the event is held at my house, which is a knightly manor in the middle of Germany, which was built by a guy who didn't want to live in the castle up the hill anymore in the 16th century. And that castle we went to visit. So because we went to the castle, we kind of we're on the roll with looking at crenellations and barbicans and moats and God knows what, and so we kept going with that. That
was very, very cool. So you guys will see some footage here before long of my coverage of the event and the like. So, it was a great time spending time with you. I really appreciate your hospitality, and your knowledge is awesome. So if you guys would like to check out what Arne's doing, I'll put his information down in the description below. He's a very good instructor for Rostfechten and Harnischfechten, of course. And so I really appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate our Patreon supporters for helping support the channel. And I'll do everything in my power to get Ben and others here next year.
So. Yeah, we're hoping to make this a yearly fixture, and I already have the first lecturer for next year. Yes, thank you very much for coming and for being able to put this event out there by means of YouTube, and thank you very much for taking my invitation because I really wanted you to be here and to connect also across the Atlantic the Harnischfechten communities, and I think that this was a very major part of doing so, and it was great having you, and it was really nice having you around my house, and it's great to finally meet you in the flesh.
Likewise.
So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, guys, take care.